Hello and welcome to The Catalyst, a podcast by Firstport taking you inside social investment. In each episode we speak to people operating inside the social investment world, whether that's a founder, a social investor or a partner in the ecosystem. We are going to demystify social investment and explore what social investment is, what it means to be investment ready and what it means to fund a social enterprise. I'm Emily Macdonald and I head up the investment programmes at Firstport, and today I'm joined by Chris Holloway. Chris is the head of social investment at Foundation Scotland, leading the organisation's work in providing flexible finance to social enterprises across the country. Chris has held this role in various guises since March 2014, following a long career in social grant making and strategic fund management. At Foundation Scotland, Chris oversees a £3.5 million loan portfolio supporting around 50 social enterprises, and he develops partnerships with donors and co-investors and leads on projects such as the Response Fund, delivering strategic grants to support the wider sector. Chris, you've worked across Resilient Scotland that delivered the Jessica Trust and now Foundation Scotland, but what did you do before and what drew you into the social investment sector?
I think it would be a lie to say that I was drawn into social investment. I think
and dragged in.
I was going to use thrown.
Thrown, right.
I was thrown in. My entry to the grant world has a peculiar story. When I was a student, I worked in ASDA part-time, pushing trolleys.
Nice.
And then I worked in the wines and spirits, which was great fun.
As a student, that was really good fun.
And then for the last year, I worked in a role which was called events coordinator. And part of the events coordinator role was to give some ASDA money to local community and local community organisations. Small grants, £250, £500 to enable nurseries to be painted, fences to be built, that type of thing. Really, really soft but important stuff.
Yeah.
After I finished in there, I decided if I didn't leave ASDA then, I was going to be there for the rest of my days. I didn't fancy working a Saturday every week. I secured a temporary role at Community Fund. Right. Before it became Big Lottery Fund. And I worked as an information officer and got involved in grant making. Stayed there for 8 years, loved it. And then got a move to Foundation Scotland, or Scottish Community Foundation, as it was then. I was going in there as Small Grants Programme Manager because I'd worked in Awards for All, so I kind of understood the territory. Mm-hmm. And after 6 months, Foundation Scotland had won the tender to deliver the Jessica Scotland Trust. Right. And they recruited a programme manager to do it. And said person decided they didn't want to do it and left. So there was a bit of a rush on to get the money out the door and across to Foundation Scotland, and I was asked to help out. Yeah. And within 6 months, I was temporary programme manager, then head of Resilient Scotland. So I literally get thrown in.
That's some pathway, yeah.
So I literally get thrown in, and it's been an education every day.
So you started as a grant maker, not a social investment provider. So your role has changed slightly. So how has the social investment landscape changed? I mean, that was a while ago, Chris, I hate to say it, but that was a few years since you've been in the sector. But what are the main changes that you've seen?
It's I think the number of providers is one of the big ones, and the demystification of social investment, which has happened.
Love it on brand, thank you.
And no small thanks to yourself and colleagues at Social Investment Scotland. Yeah. So when I first started at Resilient, I had a meeting with Alistair Davis at CIS, who I knew, to say, I'm doing this, can you help? And he said, the first thing you have to do is learn the lingo. Yeah. And that was the first thing I had to do, because I wasn't a lender, I didn't have banking qualifications, but I understood the landscape. Mm-hmm. And I set myself on a very quick crash course on learning lending. Yeah. It's a mouthful. And from there, I grew my experience. But since then, the number of providers, be it Foundation Scotland, yourselves, Firstport, playing an important role in Catalyst, Social Investment Scotland have grown bigger and bigger, doing lots of different things. The number of people interested in social investment has grown through its various guises. Yourselves bringing private investors in was an interesting period, but just didn't get the grip that everyone would have liked, in no small fault due to government. But yeah, it's a more wide and varied offering for social enterprises that are able to take it up, and I think that's a good thing. And the wider it gets, the more customer choice and the more deals will fit.
The Foundation Scotland approach, how would you describe the purpose of your social investment fund?
Previously, I would have suggested it was to get new entrants to the market.
Yeah.
But I see the social investment market in Scotland as being a bit kind of top, middle and bottom.
Right.
So we've got the entrance to the market, which would be First Port, and the work you guys do with solo entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs.
Startups,
startups, that type of thing. Yeah. And then as their business starts to mature, I would say that's where Foundation Scotland starts to come in, because at the moment we're only lending up to $250,000, but we can do a little more if needs be. And then Social Investment Scotland take over. So I think our role is to nurture the market, to bring new people that haven't had lending before into the market, but also give them an acceptable way in, because some people are very frightened by the concept of a loan, trustees especially.
Absolutely.
Many of them think you're going to take their house or their car if they default on the loan, and a lot of it is about education and explaining to them what social investment actually is. So I think we kind of play that middle ground and nurture organisations before they maybe push on to do something bigger. And there's a number of examples of that. Homes for Good being one. We give them a kind of small investment. They've had two since, and then they've went on to bigger and better things.
Foundations are quite unique because your social investment fund blends loans and grants. How did that structure come about, and what were you trying to solve a particular problem when you developed that sort of blended model? We
recognised that the market in Scotland was almost saturated for plain lending.
Yeah.
And to entice almost a bit of a loss leader, we decided that we had this £15 million. How could we entice people to the market?
Yeah.
And we started off with two products, very generous back in the days, which was a 50-50 product, 50% grant, 50% loan for anything over £60,000, and anything under that, it was 1/3 grant and 2/3 loans. And that was put in place to try and bring people in that had just been through the First Port journey, couldn't get grant, and so therefore they came to us. So it was making social investment a bit more palatable. We had come in at the end of the Scottish Investment Fund that SIS had ran, in combination with government, which was also offering 50-50. So there was a place in the market ready to be taken, and we decided to take that up.
Yeah. When you're preparing a social enterprise to take on one of your investments, what is the approach you take? I mean, can you tell us what the application process looks like?
So I would say it's very people-focused.
Yeah.
And depending on the organisation or the capacity of organisation, we dictate the pace based on that. And we always say to the applicant, we go as fast as you need us to go, if you can provide us with the information. So our starting point is education.
Yeah.
What is it you're looking for? Do you understand a loan? We've just started our own Foundation Scotland series of social investment drop-ins.
Brilliant.
Where organisations can just drop in online and say, oh, I've got this idea, would it fit? So it's that education piece first, and then it's making sure that all the building blocks are in place to ensure their governance is appropriate, that they've got the right people on board, that they recognise that they have to have, I would say, strong financial knowledge. It would be unfair to say you don't have that, because there's an expectation of providing cash flows, which can be a rigorous exercise. There is an expectation to have up-to-date annual accounts. So there's an education piece there. There's a kind of straight-talking facts piece.
Yeah, call it critical friend, yes.
Which can sometimes be unpalatable to some people. And dare I say it, and I've said this in the past, we want to know that they can repay. Because social investment is only for those that have got repayment capacity. Those that are not throwing off money but having a social impact, I'm afraid that's grants. For those that can create surplus to pay off a loan, then that's social investment.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, that's the biggest conversations that we have with our participants. Yeah, and you're right. Although it's not all about cash flow, it is about having a sustainable model and be able to, be able to explain your business plan and the story of how you're going to make income, and to be able to sort of show that.
And I think there's also a bit of realism that we try and bring to it, because many social entrepreneurs, well-minded, think that their idea is the first time it's happened.
Yeah.
And that their product or their service is going to change the world and fly off the shelves in the first year and go from 0 to 100 in a very short space of time. And we try and temper some of that.
Yeah.
And say, based on our experience of previous deals, this isn't how this will work. And we try and bring them back to reality without destroying dreams. Yeah. We say, well, what if that happens? And we test their assumptions.
Yeah.
So for a coffee shop, if they're expecting 1,000 people on a Monday, we say, well, maybe a Monday's not going to be our busiest day.
Yeah.
What about you do 500 on a Saturday and that type of thing? And we use our experience, and that's a wonderful thing. I'm blessed with a team full of experience, and they use that experience to try and shape the journey for the social enterprise.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of one of your social enterprises that has used the sort of blended product to really great effect?
I could probably give you over 100 examples. And like children, you're not meant to have a favourite. And in case my 9-year-old daughter watches this, I don't have a favourite. But I think one of our very first investments was way back in 2013 to an organisation called Miss and Mrs, who Firstport had supported at the same time and had become part of the Launch Me.
It was part of the Launch Me programme, yeah.
And we gave them an investment of £19,000. 12.5 of that was loan, and the rest was grant for them to embark on their Empowerment Pants journey.
Love that Empowerment Pants.
It's an absolutely fabulous product by a fabulous organisation, and they couldn't get grant money to do it, no matter how hard they tried. And to be honest, I don't think they could still get grant money for it. So Sylvia put her money where her mouth was and decided to borrow. And it was a great deal to work on and to monitor over the years. And the Empowerment Pants went to success, but the Empowerment Pants was only the part of the journey. Mm-hmm. The real cause behind it was empowering women, and giving them safe spaces, giving them a place to talk, a place to be themselves, especially if they had a difficult start in life. And when you look at Miss and Mrs now, they're absolutely tremendous organisation. They've got their own hub in north of Glasgow. They've got Fem Foods. They're still doing manufacturing. It's an absolutely fabulous organisation. And at Foundation Scotland would never claim to have had the social impact, but I like to think that we played a little role in that journey.
I think you definitely did, yeah. I think we did too, by the way.
Yes.
We'll both take credit for that one. So when someone comes to you and you're working with them, what does a strong investment-ready application look like? What's it got?
An organisation that understands their mission, knows what they want to achieve, that understands that no matter the size of the social impact, they still have to pay it back, that understands the journey in which they're upon to get them to a stage where they can pay it back, but also to make them aware that we are a very flexible investor. Yeah. That if it goes wrong or if something goes wrong, we are not there to penalise, we're there to support, we're there to provide payment holidays, we're there to restructure. It's to try and educate them that we're a partner in the journey. We're not just a lender. And that's probably came from the number of people we've had in the team, a lot of whom have been ex-bankers, who've been relationship managers. Yeah. When a relationship manager was someone that chapped your door and came down and sat for a cup of coffee and explained, as opposed to a telephone call to a call centre. So it's really based on people and looking at their strengths and working with them and giving them someone to talk to when times are difficult, but also giving them the opportunity to explain what it is they want to do on a face-to-face basis. And that's one of the important things we do. We always go and visit our clients. We always go and see them before the project, before the application is decided upon. We want to see it, we want to kick the tyres, but we want to understand the social impact as well. And when you go along to a project, that's what you really get in spades.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's where we first met at the pit. We were doing a site
Indeed.
visit down in Granton. When you're looking at the investment process, how long does the process typically take for an application? I mean, I don't know, as long as a piece of string, depending on the investment. But
I would suggest, so we've just had one recently that's only taken 9 weeks to turn round. But one of the things I should point out is it's an unsecured deal.
Right.
So there's no lawyers involved. And as soon as we bring lawyers and standard securities and bond and floating charges, then you can at least add a couple of months. But we've had deals that have taken 9 weeks.
Yeah.
We've had deals that have taken 2 years.
Yeah.
Because we can only be as responsive to the applicant as they are to us.
Yeah.
And we recognise that many are volunteers and we might be asking a lot as them to do the day job and to provide us with the information. But I reckon, on average, anything between 3 and 4 months.
Yeah.
From initial application to drawdown.
Yeah. I think that's realistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're right, the key is just keeping the communication going between you and the applicant and making sure everybody knows what's going on. If a social enterprise you're working with is unsure whether an investment or a grant is the right thing for them, what sort of things do you talk about with them? What do you look at?
So we ask what the project's about,
Yeah.
what social impact is that they want to achieve, their previous experience of delivering a similar project, and what journey they've been on to try and fill the financial gap.
Yeah.
So if it's an organisation that has exhausted every nook and cranny of the grant world and still can't fill it, but don't have an element of repayment capacity, then we explain that to them and say, well, a loan's not for you.
Yeah.
But when we do see some commercial activity, delivering contracts, selling a product, then we think, well, in actual fact, a loan might be suitable, and especially when you offer the blended product, it's that softer lend. I don't wish to go into figures, but I think it's important that we realise the impact that the grant has. So if you look at an investment at £100,000 from a lender at 6% who offers no grant, the monthly repayments are £1,110. From ourselves, £100,000 would be 25 grant, 75 loan, charged at 6%, both over 10 years. The repayment's but £832.
It's a big difference.
So that's £280 difference to your cash flow, which is absolutely massive. So that grant beside the loan makes a massive difference, and probably brings more people into the market than otherwise would be.
And you mentioned earlier you can do different things when you're structuring the loan, but do you offer sort of repayment holidays up front, or?
So our terms are generally between 5 and 10 years.
Yeah.
Anything under £50,000 at the moment we can do unsecured. Anything over that we look for some type of security. We offer up to 10 years, but if the applicant or the investee wants to look at a shorter period, we can offer that. If it's a new product or a new income stream, we can offer interest only for the first 12 months. If they hit a bump in the road, we can offer a 3-month interest only or a 6-month. And in some circumstances, we offer completely no capital, no interest for a period, just to get people over the hump, because we realise that it's not easy out there.
No.
If big commercial entities are struggling, then social enterprises are struggling as well. We're a flexible funder. We try and do our best by the applicant and by the investee, but we try and understand their situation. Yeah,
it's really important. What's the biggest kind of misconceptions that people have when they come to you about debt, about taking on, repayable investment?
Call it debt.
It's debt.
I think they fear there's a personal guarantee involved.
Yeah, we get that a lot. Yeah.
I think people think that if they come to us and if they default or if their business fails, that we will look for them to pay back that money from their personal goods. And then I remember going to a trustee meeting. In fact, I've been to a number of trustee meetings.
Yeah, it's the board members that we have to convince a lot, not convince, but talk to or educate quite a lot. Yeah.
And board members are convinced that they're going to lose a car,
they're
going to lose a house, that we're going to eat into their pension. And it couldn't be further from the truth. We have never taken a personal guarantee, nor would we ever seek to take a personal guarantee, even for the most risky investment that we take on. But we try to ensure it's got to be incorporated organisations that we invest in, and we make sure they understand what that knows. So that's the biggest myth, that we're going to chase you for the money. We will look for a return, but not at all costs.
Yeah. Part of your role is you're responsible for co-investing and building partnerships within the sector. What makes a good co-investor?
I've had a couple of abortive relationships with having a deal nearly done.
Goodness, right.
And
I'm hoping that wasn't, I won't go into the details of who it was, that's fine.
and it came when the terms just weren't right.
Yeah.
And a good investor understands that getting all your money back at no risk is not possible. They have got to be open to an element of risk, an element of patience, because it takes time to recoup the money, and an element of trust in ourselves to do the job.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful that within the next 3 months we should be able to announce something with a co-investor.
Brilliant.
Very, very exciting times, and it'll bring much more needed capital to the sector.
That sounds very exciting, I have to say. Yeah, I just think there's so many of us operating in this sector, partnerships and collaborations and signposting, and just making sure people find the right place for what they're doing. It's so important.
I think you touch on something really important there, because I would say the primary operators in the area, First Port, Social Investment Scotland, Foundation Scotland, and creeping up round the back is Democratic Finance, who are entering the market, who are going to play a really important role. And people would see that as being a competitive environment, and it couldn't be further from the truth. If something doesn't fit with Social Investment Scotland, they'll maybe give us a call. If it doesn't fit with us, we'll talk to you guys.
Yeah.
We've done a number of co-deals over the years, and just recently we were really pleased to take a position in a community shares purchase as Foundation Scotland, and we took a small purchase in Action Porty, just to show that we can be flexible in our finance. They weren't needing debt at that time, but they'd launched a share offer with a stretch target, and we decided to help them meet the stretch target. And that's another kind of tool in our toolbox to help us support organisations. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. We were talking more to Democratic Finance as well, just to look for those opportunities. What can we use the Catalyst Fund for? And you're right, community shares is something that we're looking at. We haven't done it yet, but that's something that's really interesting you've done that. Might tap you about it later, get more information. But it's just finding different ways, because we've all got capital to lend, but it's just finding different ways to get it out there and to get it working, really, to make the biggest impact.
Yeah, there's so many ways you can do it, but I suppose one of the points of friction comes from the source of your capital. Yeah. So we're very lucky at Foundation Scotland. We have capital to lend, but we've not had to borrow it. Mm-hmm. We have it from the foundation, which is a very useful position to be in. If you have to borrow from a wholesaler, then you have to price your money according to them and according to your service charge. You do. And that makes the money sometimes out of reach for some people, sometimes not. So we're in a very lucky position to be able to do that. First Port, I know you guys have the Catalyst Fund, and there's certain agreements tied to it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what you do, you can't get around the agreements. We can all try and be as flexible as possible, but if your wholesaler is telling you one thing, then that's what you've got to pass on to the customer. Yeah, absolutely. No, we have eligibility criteria like everybody else, but you're right, it's just trying to find the right opportunities to get that capital out there. Are there any new or innovative financial models that you've seen in the market that you're excited about? I don't think I've seen anything new. What I'd like to see more of is what we're doing. Yeah. I think the blended investment has been proven to help meet people where they're at. There was a report, you'll forgive me, a number of years ago into social investment that made a number of recommendations.
Yeah.
And one of the recommendations was to have more blended finance, because that would bring more people to the market. I think more types of patient capital would be really helpful.
Yeah.
To get new people in, more elements of risk capital, where if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. And I think one concept that I would like to see explored in greater detail would be repayable grants. How could we?
I don't like that term, Chris, repayable grant, because for me it's just confusing. But what do you mean by that?
So a grant at no cost, that when an organisation is able,
Yeah.
they can contribute some of it back.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
I manage a small programme called Startup Mull.
Right.
And it's not for social enterprises, it's for entrepreneurs and businesses on the island of Mull. And they receive grants up to £10,000. We've only made 3 or 4. It's to support a donor on Mull. And the understanding is they take that money, and when they can, they start to contribute back to the fund.
Okay.
So it's not about paying the loan back.
Yeah.
It's recognising the impact that money has had on their business. And when they get to position, they can give some back. Now that, if you get 10,000, you're not looking for 10,000 back. But an acknowledgement and some type of payment, I think works. But you're right, terminology is all repayable grant. Others would say 0% loan.
Yeah.
There's a whole different ways to look at it. So I suppose what I'm saying is organisations that take a grant get to a stage where they think we could give some of that back. But I recognise in today's circumstances that might be very difficult.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I'm on board with the concept. You're right. If you've used the money, you've grown, you've established yourself, you can afford now to give it back, and so it can be used. The funds can be used again, and someone else can use those funds to do the same. Yeah,
and it's something that we talk to our donors about at Foundation Scotland when they're setting up funds to see if they'd be interested in social investment. And obviously, it's not for a personal return, but in terms of perpetual philanthropy, that the money goes out, comes back in, out and in, and out and in. And they're redoubling down on the social impact because they can achieve it a number of times.
Yeah.
If they lose the money was going out as a grant in the first place. So it was a one-shot. But by offering it in a social investment term, then they can maybe double their social impact or treble it over the time.
Can you tell us more about the other sources? Obviously, you've got your blended product, but you also have access to a sort of network of philanthropists and investors. Could you just describe how that works and how people can access those funds?
So, if an organisation comes to Foundation Scotland for social investment, while writing up the deal, we speak to our colleagues in philanthropy to see if there would be any donors interested in the project that we are considering to invest in. That works 2 ways. Because donors are always looking for exciting projects, and generally social investment provides exciting projects. And number 2, if there's some grant money can go in there, 1, it helps the organisation, and 2, it de-risks it for ourselves in social investment. So we see social investment as a bit of a gateway to the foundation. Equally, if an organisation comes to us where we've got a wind farm, where there's a developer base that we work with, a local wind farm fund, we speak to colleagues in the communities to see would there be an appetite to put some money in there. We have regular check-ins with both teams so that we're offering a full foundation approach.
Brilliant.
To give people the best possible access. Equally, if we know of any grant funds that are available, maybe not donor directed but as programmes, we get them into that process. So it's about maximising the benefit of engaging with Foundation Scotland, either through social investment, philanthropy or communities.
Yeah, and so that automatically happens. As soon as someone applies to you for support or with an idea, you automatically span that horizon.
As soon as someone comes to us with a proposal that we think we can take forward, or indeed if we can't, we refer it on to our grants team who say, we can do something or maybe not. We obviously don't have generalised funding pots, but we have donor specific and donor programmes, and sometimes the match is there. Good example, the Larder in West Lothian. I'm sure you know them.
Yes, really good one.
They've had 4 or 5 investments for ourselves, and we've managed to secure them 6 figures from donors over the years to support their costs.
Brilliant.
Because the donor was interested in poverty and food poverty, and we managed to make that work for them. So that's a good example of how it's happened.
That's a really good example, yeah. Where do you think Foundation Scotland is going over the next sort of 5-10 years? What do you think what's going to happen with the portfolio?
We want it to grow, and the reason we want it to grow is not to make money. The only reason we want to make money is so we can put it back out the door. But we want more people to benefit from this approach. If a customer is talking to a lender who doesn't have grant and it's within our parameters, then give us a call, because we could make all the difference that could make it work. So we want to grow that. We want to grow the impact. We want to understand more of having social investment as part of our foundation. I think there's 56 foundations in the UK Community Foundation Network, and there's only 2 of which offer social investment.
Goodness.
So we'd like to understand more of that and more of the role that grant makers can play in social investment, because a number of them have endowments, and how could that work different, and how could we support some of that happen?
Yeah.
So we want to grow it.
Widen that net a bit, yeah.
We want to grow it, we want to make it more accessible, and we want to let more people know what we're doing so they can benefit.
Brilliant. I was going to end by asking you, if you could change one thing about the way the sector operates in Scotland, what would it be?
I suppose this goes for social investment, social enterprise, charities. When I worked at Community Fund, as I mentioned, a long number of years ago, I remember looking at a couple of applications, and it was 2 neighbouring organisations delivering the same thing.
Yeah.
And they were going head to head for the same grant money. And we tried to encourage them both to speak, to say, well, how could we work together? And both refused. And I remember thinking that this, and it's probably quite topical given the goings on in America,
Yes.
but that protectionism will do harm to the sector going forward. If people are only interested in their little turf and keeping the posts that they fund or their little set of beneficiaries, why not talk? If the charity sector and the social enterprise sector don't realise that change is coming, and that change can be achieved through mergers, being having graceful deaths when that's required, then it won't exist in the way it does just now. But yeah, I would like to see protectionism come to an end in all forms.
Yeah, and I think that goes for ourselves as well. We're organisations operating in the same space, and you're right, we don't compete, we should collaborate more and partner more, and I think you're right. So Firstport and Foundation Scotland, we've collaborated a few times on various investments, but the one that sticks in my mind, because that was the first one that I visited, was Granton, the Granton Project Kit. That was a great one for us to work on with you. What do you think worked especially well in that partnership?
The investment in the pit was very complicated, complex financials. They needed a lot of support. But I think the colleagues in my team and your now team working together, I think that worked great, because there was a real team, and trying to present ourselves to Grant and to the pit as one.
Yeah.
To say, if you do this, then that will help us. We would share the same information, share the same reporting. So I think that can be really important. And I don't think we can underplay the impact that the pit is having in Granton.
Yeah, it's massive.
It's going to be part of a massive regeneration project in the area, and it's going to add a real nice social side, as well as a positive commercial side for people, because they're providing jobs, and they're also providing a hub for social enterprises. So a nice story that's come out of it is we have just recently invested in Granton Bakery, who are going to take a space within the pit, and they'll be providing fresh bread. So it's a bit of a hub for social enterprise. So I think that's really quite exciting for the area.
It is. It's such an amazing place. It's sort of from the initial vision that we both bought into to the plans now, they've just grown and grown, and the impact is incredible. It's got such great potential. And we've spoken to Hal on this podcast series already, and he was just talking about the number of incubators he's got now. So it's a little sort of startup social enterprises that are there, and all the sort of social interaction between them and the support network they're building there. It's just incredible what was started.
It shows the power of the collective.
Yeah, it does.
Both from their side of things, but from our side of things, if you work together, then great things can happen.
Exactly. It's a really good example of how social investors can partner together on a big deal, a big complicated deal, and come to a really good outcome.
Without putting too much pressure on the applicant.
Exactly. It's a really flexible deal, that one. Yeah. And we're very patient. An example of patient funding.
Indeed.
In a complex situation. So there we have it. Foundation Scotland and Chris and his team are providing vital funding and support for Scotland's community-led organisations. I just want to say a huge thank you to Chris for being here today and for sharing all his experiences and insights with us. And to everyone listening, please go and have a look at the investments and the funding offered by Foundation Scotland. And you can find out more by going to foundationscotland.org.uk. And if you would like more information on First Port's investment readiness support, or to find out more about First Port's investment products, please visit us at firstport.org.uk. So you've been listening to The Catalyst with Emily Macdonald. Join us next time as we continue to demystify social investment.